You have an exact protocol, what you're doing in the morning and when you wake up and go to sleep and everything like that. So I would like to kind of go over what you're doing, and then we can get into a little bit of the why, and then maybe the little lower level things that people can do to optimize their day.
One of the things that a quote I once heard was, "We make our habits and our habits make us." The most successful people I've met, and in biohacking, especially around longevity, you get to meet some very, 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 very successful people, like the top. One commonality I saw with them is that they all have strict routines that they own and that owns them. And a lot of it is also automation and making sure that they don't have to think. And I think in terms of the book, it's called, I'm trying to remember the name of the book now, but it's a really famous book, and it's about routine and structure. And the name slipped my mind ridiculously, but come to me in a minute, you know how it is. But they call it open loops. And the more open loops you have, or the more things that your browser is processing at the same time, the slower it will work. So I like to work with an app. I think I put a post out on it, or it's going out very soon on my YouTube, about the app that I have that's everything's locked and loaded. So as soon as I wake up, I just go through and tick off the things that I have. I also put things in places so I trip over them. So for instance, the chin up bar is in my bedroom door. So when I leave the bedroom or come into the bedroom, it's there, and I'm always doing it automatically. I see it, it triggers me, I do it. And then for the rest of the time, I have an app that I just lock and load, and it repeats every single day. From the moment I wake up, I don't have to think, I just do. And then I can, I'm on autopilot, and then I can think about my day, which starts at a certain time. And I found that I'm probably around 40% more productive by doing so, opposed to, what supplements do I take? Or, what time do I finish reading? Or, should I book a call in before 10 a.m.? Like, all these things are gone. Yeah. So it starts with tongue scraping. From the moment I wake up, I walk into my bathroom, scrape my tongue. Everything that I do is specifically researched or has benefits, or I'm testing for the moment to see the result. So tongue scraping obviously clears off a lot of the bacteria on your tongue, cleans it out. If your mouth is cleaner, your gut will be cleaner. If your gut is cleaner, your health is better. A whole host of benefits from it.
So what do you use? Just like a scraper, or do you use a toothbrush and kind of?
I use a scraper. At the moment, I'm using a silver one. It's not so good. Copper is better because it's naturally a natural antibacterial. So they're much more hygienic. And it's just like a metal bar that you just scrape on your tongue 3 times. It's actually amazing the amount of people that have said that they get their taste back because they're clearing their tongue, they're clearing toxins on there. And based on a good friend and my surgeon, biological dentist friend, Dr. Dominic Nitschwitz, his saying is health starts in the mouth. If you've got, for instance, candida in the mouth, or root canals or infections in your mouth, that will filter into your gut and you will have gut issues. But most people start with tackling the gut, not tackling the mouth. So health starts in the mouth. So if you're clearing the bacteria off your tongue, the burden will be less on your gut, and you'll need less binders. That takes me on to my next point. I then start with binders. So I take chlorella, and I actually use cholestyramine, which is a pharmaceutical binder, actually, and it's used for cholesterol, for high cholesterol usually, but it's also super, super, super effective biotoxin binder. And for me, I've had histamine issues in the past and various gut issues. So I've been testing cholestyramine to see if it helps me with the biotoxins and the headaches, and actually it did. It does very, very well.
So when you say binders, for people listening, you're just binding to those toxins that you're kind of trying to get out of your body so you can naturally excrete them.
Yeah. So if you think about it in an analogy, you're in the kitchen, you're cooking food. If you're not binding things, you're just building up the trash in the kitchen. Or so you've got several obviously liver phases, or it could be that you're taking the trash out, but the dust cart isn't collecting, so it stacks up on the street. So depending on which phase you're working on and which binder you're using, you're taking the trash out from the kitchen, and then the dust cart takes it away as well. Otherwise, it's going to stack up in both areas. So binders are really important, and I base that based on my genetic variations specifically for me. I found that my headaches go, my mental clarity is significantly better as a result of just doing those 2 things alone. So yeah, so then obviously I'm out the door into the lounge, and I've got my chin up bar on the way, and I've got my dip bars on the way, which I do every time I pass through. And that's just because body composition is one of my goals at the moment. I may or may not have been testing SARMs, various other things like that. And I may or may not have put on 12 kilos in 3 months from doing so. It works. And then it's about maintaining. So there's things like that I've been testing at the moment. I find dip bars are amazing. Chin-up bars, great. More recently, I've been using the eccentric and concentric techno gym gear in a new lab in London, actually. So I find I would class that as a biohack, actually.
Yeah, so you walk by a chin-up bar every time. What do you knock out? You go to failure. You kind of like have a rep in reserve. What do you do?
Yeah, rep in reserve, more like. I mean, and again, it really depends on how I feel on the day and what my aura score is. Because if my readiness is low for whatever reason, then I tend to just do stretching and bands. But if my readiness is above 85, then I go all in and make the most of the day.
Okay, so you got the aura ring, you do your pull-ups and dips, you scrape your tongue. What else do you do?
So yeah, I go down and make my bulletproof coffee. The next point, which I sit down and then read for 30 minutes with all notifications, with everything off. I actually use the Pomodoro method, an app for that. So I switch off for basically 25, 30 minutes and read. And that's just complete chill time, whatever's going on in the day, whatever's happening in the world. Like, that's mind space, setting the precedence for the day. Nice. With my bulletproof coffee. If it's warm enough or sunny enough, then I go out, stand in the garden, and I'm grounding and doing that at the same time. Obviously getting early day sunrise if possible, because obviously that helps reset our circadian rhythm. And also the grounding gives you free electrons, which obviously pair with free radicals or neutralize free radicals, which obviously reduces inflammation in your body and helps with all your energy production and helps your whole body repair as it should do. So, pairing morning light with grounding is actually really incredible.
So bulletproof coffee, do some grounding. What's next?
I mean, now I've got a standing desk with a treadmill underneath it. It's Walkolution. It's no affiliation, just think they're awesome. So I'm standing, walking pretty much all the day or leaning back. And I know the 10,000 steps has been debunked, but I still try to get the 10,000 a day because it is still a good number. Then it goes to my supplements, the ones that are fat-based, fat soluble, to go with my bulletproof coffee. And then I have a high-fat breakfast. And then I get on and do my home workouts if it's a home workout day versus a gym workout day. I have my amino acid stack, which is like branch chain essential, glutamine, creatine, taurine, minerals. So I use the Kinton hydration hypertonic minerals in there as well. I also use fish-based collagen in there nicely as well. So then that's the workout. And then I have a blocked out time depending on the day. I have, for instance, only head down work until lunchtime with no distractions, which again will all be in my task list for the day. That's all preset the day before. And then calls between 3 and 6, 3 days a week. And the rest of the week, I have 2 days with no calls, no interactions with anyone, so that I'm really productive. I then have my red light therapy time, and I do 10 minutes every day, actually. I've had some dental surgery, and I've had stem cell surgery here for a sinus lift and various other things because of shoddy dentistry work when I was younger. But red light therapy for 10 minutes on my face here. Along with proteolytic enzymes and obviously vitamin D and vitamin K protocol that I'm on for bone healing, which is working very well. So the red light therapy I find is amazing. And then I'm on my balance board. So if I'm at my standing desk and not the walking desk, I'll be on a balance board. So I'm engaging my core all day long. I'm using random movement, not just standing still.
So after, what's your nighttime start to look like? You got your work, your calls.
Yep. So I switch off. I have a hard stop at 6 p.m. UK. 3 hours before bed, strictly 3 hours before bed, I wear blue blocking glasses. Obviously that blocks out the blue light, which means that you start secreting your melatonin, which means your body starts winding down and getting ready for bed, opposed to thinking it's still midday and being hyped up. A lot of people say that they're night owls. They're not. It's less than 1% of people that are actually truly night owls. genetically. It was a trait that got weeded out because the people that slept during the day got eaten by the animals that are awake during the day. So it's, we have sleep, and it is such a prominent thing in for us for a reason. So blue light blocking glasses from generally 6-7 p.m. I also stop eating around sunset as well, because that means that my blood glucose comes down while I sleep, which means that my body's actually using the energy collected during the day to repair the damage that I've done to this unit during the day. Whereas if you eat far after sunset, we produce, as Dr. Sachin Panda says, up to 50 times less insulin after sunset, meaning that our blood sugar is higher throughout the night. Meaning our organs are at full speed opposed to actually repairing. So, that also ties in with no exercising generally after 4 or 5 p.m. because you're pushing your body too late and it's not winding down. And if you optimize your day, you optimize your night and your sleep significantly better, and then you'll feel better through the day and sleep better. So it's really setting up for the next day from sunset. And then there's winding down, making sure that I get some grounding done in the evening. And I have an earthing yoga mat that goes on by the bottom of my sofa. So when I'm sitting on my sofa, I'm grounding. That way I'm winding down, I'm getting the free electrons and chilling without blue light, without being stimulated. That also means not watching war movies or anything with killing in it, because it has such a huge impact. Like, you just have to watch something like a Freddy Krueger film, for instance. That's an oldie there. Just before you go to sleep, and watch your heart rate spike and your heart rate variability plummet. That's, our unconscious minds can't distinguish between reality and film. And, we're in a stress state, meaning that we don't sleep properly. So it's really important that you get a couple of hours of wind down before bed, finish eating at a certain time, wear your blue blockers as well.
Yeah, I started doing that. I stopped watching any sort of, thriller or anything before bed. I stopped trying to do work before bed because same thing, my mind is still trying to think about things. So I would pretty much only watch a comedy or something that's lighthearted, or that you can be on, you don't have to think about it too much. I found that really helps me just sort of calm down in the evening. That, I've got my, blue light blocking glasses on as well. And it's, in the grand scheme of things, would I rather take out a actual book and read that? Sure. But like, you got all this stuff going on. You got a kid running around. You got to do what you've got to do, but doing the comedy, and then I'll turn on some relaxing tones, before bed, and I'll turn that on. I turn on airplane mode on my phone, and that just plays. There's an app I have called Brain Tap, and it just plays those tones, and just and I start thinking about it there, and do some breath work as I'm laying in bed. 10-20 minutes later, I'm asleep, and generally, unless I have to pee in the middle of the night, I sleep so much better that way.
Yes, I mean, it's a really good point. I mean, I think the other thing I also have, which ties into what you've said there, is I have a remote control which links to all of the plugs in a house with the Sonos and the Wi-Fi router. So I just press one button and turns off all of the plugs around the house, so there's no electricity flowing around. And actually, it's a real common thing. So many people say that their brain is so active at night when they're lying in bed. In fact, one guy, super successful guy, I don't do many consults. I do like one a fortnight just so that people have access to me if they really need it. And this guy's super successful, and yet his brain was 200 miles an hour. He couldn't sleep. He was falling apart. And when I said to him, do you have Wi-Fi on at night? He said, yes. I said, where's the router? And he said, oh, there's one under my bed and one under the kids as well. So the first thing I did, even before he could order blue blocking glasses, was to make sure that he turned his router off at night. Sleep magically improves significantly overnight. And, I read somewhere the other week that Wi-Fi, that sort of amount of electricity or EMF, the body actually almost thinks it's awake because it's having to process it. How many times do you go, oh, I feel like I've just got a message. It's on silent, there's no vibrate on, and yet you look at it and there's a message just popped up. I mean, we can sense this on an unconscious level. So Wi-Fi off is a non-negotiable. Like where I'm staying at the moment, there's a router just down there. There's a computer here. There's a load of stuff around. Everything goes off, like non-negotiable. And then before bed, also half a teaspoon of Celtic sea salt in a glass of 300 milliliters of water. And if you're waking up during the night, which is what I used to do, I used to pee, 3-5 times during the night and probably 30 times during the day at one point, until I figured out which minerals I actually needed to retain the water. Having the Celtic sea salt before bed and adding potassium citrate in, after 3 or 4 days, you don't wake up to pee in the night anymore because you're retaining.
I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that.
Works like a beauty. And I found for females, depending on where they are on their cycle, they end up peeing a lot more. Well, often if you give them potassium, any form is generally all right, but citrate is my favorite, then they stop peeing so much and can go 15 times a day down to 2 or 3 times a day as a result. But for us guys, I mean, it's even better.